Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. I hope you enjoy. Story number 1, Debt of Gratitude, written by Species Unknown. The first we had noticed of them was when a single, medium-sized ship suddenly appeared in a brief, golden flash outside one of our mining outposts. An angular, polygonal machine with the shimmering radiators and heatsinks busy dumping an immense amount of heat. The ship noticed the gas giant the installation was orbiting and made haste through the rings to dip into the gaseous clouds, no doubt to help release the heat through the proper medium instead of the emptiness of space. That was our first contact with the human remnant. It did not take long for them to ping our communications, and our advanced translation algorithms began to work, helped by them transmitting their own language to us in what was obviously a first contact package. The first proper conversation was interesting, to say the least. A Hispanic human, bipedal like us, similar body shape, just twice our height and without a fur and muzzles, with skin that was tan, as the humans put it, named Scout Malkinson, was the first to speak. "Wonderful! A proper and friendly first contact," he sighed in relief, leaning back in a strange chair with the visible thruster ports. Naturally, we were confused by this. What did he mean? As he spoke, the computers finished analyzing the warp jump signatures vector. It was from beyond our galaxy. That gave us the first clue of what he meant. After a little bit more talking, we divulged that his race was fleeing their own galaxy. Fleeing their own galaxy! Through the infinite darkness between galaxies. Even in our 60 million Earth years of void travel, such a thing was preposterous. Warp jumping is still too slow for crossing them, even to the closest one. It would take centuries, and there's not enough fuel in the world to keep the ship going. That's when the alarms began to blare about immense warp jump signatures approaching. "Well, they want to meet you now that the system is safe." Scout Malkinson smiled at us. Space, several thousand kilometers away, erupted in great golden flashes of light, and enormous cylindrical ships and a huge variety of other ship shapes of all kinds are disgorged into an area around our humble mining outpost. The entire collective was similar to that of the mineral-rich rings we were in orbit of and digging out. The second thing we noticed, after getting over the sheer size and number of the thousands of vessels all in one place, was the fact that every single one of them was armed in some fashion. The strange part, though, was how all of them appeared to be brand new despite Malkinson's claim of them traveling from their own home system to our galaxy, taking 5 of their centuries. Such a thing had never been seen before, but the warp jump echoes claimed this was true. The only place they could have come from was outside of our galaxy. It didn't take long for the humans to give us the name that was easy for them to pronounce, Velid, due to looking similar to the mostly tamed predatory species they brought with them called felines. The news of a new species coming from beyond the galaxy did not take long to spread, and soon the other races in our coalition arrived, as well as a proper ambassadorial delegation. Our sleek white and orange vessels, built of hard light with floating fins for maneuverability, that are designed after the graceful movements and looks of the native fish of our homeworld, the Husa, with their wide, winged avian-looking vessels, and the Odanton, with tail-reinforced crescent-shaped designs, all arrived and were invited aboard the humans' culture ships. It was clearly obvious that they were not completely united. The sheer number of ships' designs proved as much, but they were united enough to give every nation, colony, and even sub-facets of their history, like the internet and video games and movies with the vessels that act as museums, as well as living space. Our coalition was welcomed them with open arms, giving them several systems in each of our spheres for where they could settle and rest after their journey. And for this, humanity was thankful and gladly shared the technologies that allowed them to create such structures as the culture ships, and to survive for long in space. Matter disassembly and reassembly, bioandroids, mind transfer, similar things had been experimented with or theorized, but no one in the coalition ever went far with them, besides the Ardontan, due to their engineering prowess. But here we had working examples of each. Immortality was truly created, and by a race that hardly even begun expansion through space before they had to flee. They had been passing through the void for 500 years without FTL, and then basic FTL before making the first contact. Then 50 years later, their flight began. Until 500 years after that, they arrived in our galaxy, what they named Andromeda. Several years passed, with human ships quickly becoming common throughout our space as their new dynasty treasure fleet eagerly goes and trades system by system. Mercenary groups are set up, and still others go out by themselves to explore our cultures, and we go to explore theirs. Then disaster struck. A human ship reactor went critical and sent it smashing into one of our habitats, knocking it out of orbit and towards our artisan world below. The impact and devastation that was wrought was indescribable. An entire continent turned to rubble and twisted metal and fire and ash in an instant, with the impact setting off volcanic activity all over. It doesn't take long for the news to travel around the coalition, and to the humans it took even less time for every cultural ship to appear over the skies, disgorging thousands of shuttles and humans to the ground, rapidly setting up shelters and search parties. Every ship sent down was quickly marked by some form of symbol colored red, and the most common being a red cross with the human letter H. Within an hour, we were sure 90% of every human spacefaring vessel was surrounding our broken artisan world, flitting up and down from the ships in orbit with the injured, the homeless, the hungry. Naturally, we asked why the humans had sent so many ships. They replied, "We were saved by the selflessness of a race who sent their last 12 living members out with technology and knowledge in search of people to save. When we arrived, you saved us from further time and space by gifting us worlds to start anew. Now, it is our turn to repay the debt, to show our gratitude." When they finished, 5 rings of fire-belching golden light appeared over our world, releasing 5 truly enormous vessels from a fiery maw, each one with the same basic shape, but each one having its own uniqueness to the way the bridge and extensions are placed and shaped. Each one marked with one of the 5 most common red markings on the other ships that appeared, and each one with absolutely no weaponry. This is the beginning of the relief fleet, united under one goal, to help everyone, no matter race, religion or creed, get food, water, shelter, medicine. All you have to do is ask. The human ambassador smiles at everyone and helps spread our debt of gratitude. End of story. Story number 2. I Weep, written by Dragonson04. I've had many names over the millennia. My children have called me Terra, Gaia, Mother Earth, Mother Nature, Tanatsan, Hautu, Boomer Devi, Joro and Geb, to name but a few. I weep for those times. Other children from another mother came and scarred me deeply. I did survive, but most of my children did not. They returned to me by the billions. I wept for their deaths. My surviving children, now numbering only a bare handful compared to what was, were changed. My environment was devastated, and, as is my law, the strongest survived and adapted. Although I should not have, I helped them change, well, they were open to it. I weep for what I did. Now my children are stronger, faster, and more cunning than ever before. A ship that sails the stars was abandoned by the other children, and my children, being my tool makers and being motivated by vengeance, did what they have always done and made new ones based on the abandoned ones. I weep, for they will leave me soon. Many things which were considered taboo are now commonplace. Many women bound to one man for population growth and to re-establish a sense of community and family. In 50 years they'll leave me, They are waiting for there to be enough of them. They take their rage, their passion, their desires, and their sense of justice, and they teach with them. They teach for the other children who hurt them. They indoctrinate from the time a child can walk. They teach their young to hate the enemy with each and every breath. Their training and population growth continues. They'll be ready soon. I weep for the lost innocence of my children. I weep, for I know what my children have done to each other since their beginning. I weep, for I know that will be nothing compared to what they will do to an enemy that is not human. End of story. I would quickly like to thank the T5 channel members and Patreons. Casper Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, Barky, Lord Azrakal, It's Difficult to Pronounce, Dragzoon WRE, Holly's Sister, Arcadian. Thank you very much.